So, we are in Women's Month and Car Talks turns 6 months old. And what better way to celebrate this milestone than attending the BMW Test Drive weekend to get behind the wheel of South Africa's 2025 Car of the Year, the BMW X3. This time around, we're testing the 2-liter turbo diesel engine dressed in the sophisticated Dune Grey color. But that's not all. So stick around until the end of the video because we've got a bonus car to reveal. Here's your clue. It's got monster 315mm rear tires. If you have any guesses, leave them in the comments below. So, without further ado, let's get started. Car Talks. Power, precision, performance. The X3 xDrive 20D is powered by a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine with a 48-volt mild hybrid system, putting out 145 kilowatts and 400 newton meters of torque. Power is sent to all 4 wheels via an 8-speed automatic ZF gearbox. It tips the scales at 1,965 kilograms. The diesel variant starts from 1,136,417 rands and 20 cents.
Listen properly. 769,000.
However, there's a new 2-liter petrol variant that joins the lineup from 1,047,760 rands and 40 cents. I know, that's very OCD of BMW to include cents in the car's price. I mean, what difference is it going to make in the real world?
And 70.
Anyway, on to 3 things I don't like about the X3. At number 1 are the interior plastics. Some of the trim feels noticeably plasticky, especially around the door handles. I'm sure you could find this handle in a Renault Kwid. Conversely, the Omoda C9 that we tested earlier this year actually came across a touch more premium to the eye and to the touch. At number 2 is the panoramic glass roof, and although it's a great size, it no longer opens, and I think that's a missed opportunity. At number 3 is that there's no covering anymore over the wireless charger, so your phone sits exposed while charging. Older BMWs had a slick lid for this area and it just looked cleaner. But it's not all doom and gloom though, because here are 3 things I really like. At number 1 are the rear privacy blinds, or what I jokingly call peasant blockers, a simple yet effective formula. At number 2, the ambient lights flash with the hazards, a small detail that adds a bit of personality. And last but not least, I really love the iconic grille. It's on now, but you can barely see it, and this is why it's important to have access to press cars, because I could have taken this shot at night. But BMW South Africa have said that they're not ready to partner with us right now, so that means that we'll continue reviewing BMWs at dealerships into the foreseeable future, or hire them once the channel can cover the associated costs. But as you already know, we improvise on this channel and make lemonade out of lemons, so don't you worry. We'll keep knocking on those doors until they let us in, because we're building a community to be reckoned with. Moving on to some of its features, this particular X3 is fitted with the optional 20-inch bicolor wheels, which will set you back 15,000 rands. Fortunately, however, Dune Grey remains a no-cost paint option.
It's got a spare wheel.
Wow.
And an electric tow bar. Grocery hooks, and then you've got your privacy cover.
Oh, nice. Like that.
Now, so quick.
Very, very
Rear
nice.
camera, PVC front and rear, and then it also closes.
The same way.
Funny lesson of the day, we actually discovered in real time that the tailgate sensor won't work unless the tow bar is fully retracted. So after a few attempts, Dylan finally cracked it. So well done to Dylan. Boot capacity sits at 570 liters, which is 20 liters more than the previous generation X3. In the rear, you get a center armrest with 2 cup holders, although the cup holders aren't as neatly tucked away as is the case in the 3 Series. I really like how flush this particular design is. You also get ISOFIX anchor points for your child seat, which are really easy to access. The rear bench is beautifully stitched and perforated as well. You get climate control with 2 USB-C ports, as well as mounting sockets for your iPads behind the front seats, which is really great for long journeys. As always, I'm 1.78 meters tall or 5'10", and I can sit comfortably behind my driving position with decent knee and headroom. Jumping into the front, you get electrically adjustable front seats as standard, and what's also nice about BMW seats is that the front portion is extendable, which gives you great under-thigh support. You might think you don't need it until you try it, and then you can't live without it anymore. It's kind of like Uber Eats if you think about it, because can you imagine going back to how food ordering was done before? You get a flat bottom M steering wheel, which feels good to the touch. The pedal shifts are plasticky, of course, but aesthetically they are a clean and beautiful design. You get a massive 14.9-inch infotainment screen that comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, together with a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster. The cubbyhole is smaller than you'd expect, but there's decent storage in the center console. We are finally at the driving part of the test drive, and behind the wheel is my wife, because it's Women's Month. Well, that's the PR answer, but the real answer is that I forgot my license at home.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
Yo, I had FOMO for days, but I knew that going back home just to fetch my license would have been a mission. So let's all say thank you, Mrs., for being a superstar and saving the day. I'll be back for the X3 M50. But you know what? Even sitting in the passenger seat, you're able to read and feel a lot of what the vehicle is actually doing. For starters, the suspension work is absolutely phenomenal, and there's hardly any body roll. It corners just like a 3 or a 5 Series. It honestly feels like a sedan on stilts. And I think that's where BMW has the upper hand on the Chinese. When it comes to driving dynamics, the suspension setup of the Chinese doesn't come close to that of the X3. And I guess that comes with a 108-year legacy, so it is to be expected. And now when it comes to interior build quality, I do want to rehash the point that the interior feels solidly built. There are no creaks, no rattles, but the use of plastic in this generation make it feel ever so slightly less luxurious than the previous X3. Actually, before we bought the 3 Series those many years ago, we test drove the previous generation X3 30D. Now that 3-liter inline-6 turbo diesel engine was an absolute dream. It was fast, refined, and economical. But it had a year left on the motor plan, so opting for the newer 3 Series model made more sense, because the selling price of the two vehicles was similar anyway. Moving on to performance, BMW claims that the 20D hits the 0 to 100 km/h sprint in just 7.7 seconds, shaving 0.3 seconds off the previous time. What's more impressive is that they managed to do that despite the engine only gaining 5 kilowatts, while the new X3 diesel is about 50 kilograms heavier than before. Average fuel consumption is claimed at a frugal 6.2 liters to the 100, which means that the 60-liter tank is good for 968 kilometers. And now before we get to pricing and the cost of ownership, we're still on the road to 10,000 subs, so if you're enjoying these videos, then do well to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. The bigger we become, the cooler the cars will get. As mentioned before, the 20D starts from the price you're seeing on your screen, but this particular model is the M Sport variant, which adds an additional 50,000 rands. The panoramic glass roof is part of the deluxe package for 45,000 rands, which also includes the Harman Kardon sound system, the rear sun blinds, as well as an electric tow bar. Now this particular unit doesn't have the M seat belts, but these would set you back 6,000 rands, which I highly recommend you get from brand new, because BMW quoted me 22,000 rands to have the fitment done aftermarket. It was at that point when I asked them, "What time do you close again?" "Oh, okay, wait, I'm coming back later." And I never returned. And that brings us to a total price of 1,246,417 rands and 20 cents. On finance, you would pay 23,500 rands a month over 6 years at the current prime interest rate of 10.5%. Shout out to the Reserve Bank for the 25 basis point interest rate cut. Insurance is risk profile dependent, and the cheapest quote I got was 2,198 rands. A full tank of diesel will cost you 1,356 rands at the current inland price of diesel for the 60-litre tank, which would then bring your total cost of ownership to 27,052 rands. As polarizing as the exterior design may be, the sales don't lie. There's a reason why this is selling like hotcakes at the moment, and that ingredient is sheer driving pleasure. Now, as we were leaving the dealership, we came across something special, and that is the X6 M60i. I used to be convinced that Portimao Blue was my favorite BMW color, but no. Nothing tops Dune Grey together with that cognac interior. The M60i is powered by the S68 4-litre twin-turbo V8 engine borrowed from the X6M, albeit in a slightly lower state of tune. It's crazy to think that the curtain is closing soon for V8 engines. What a time to be alive. And because this is an M Lite, it also gets fixable mirrors. The price of this unit is in front of your screen, and all I can say is kufuneka imali elifini. Anyway, for all your new and used BMW needs, reach out to Dylan from BMW 4Ways. He'll take care of you. Remember when I said there are 3 things I dislike about the X3 earlier in the video? Well, I lied, because there is one more thing.
With this generation, everything is buried inside the infotainment system. Like your climate controls and all of that.
Your personal assistant,
Yeah,
climate control.
yeah.
I know the climate control button isn't something that everyone's a fan of.
Yeah.
But so
Just to
good.
kind of fiddle with just to turn on aircon. Yeah. I'm not a fan of that philosophy, but I think over time we can
They'll
get
bring back the button.
really.
I'm sure they will. Let's see what works, what's in demand.
Yeah,
They'll
yeah.
test also.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but this is
Nice
quite
big
nice.
display. People love that.
So, you heard it, I'm a very big proponent of physical buttons. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Until next time, take care.